Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum present at 8:30. We do.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
Welcome to our executive board meeting. Mr. Gabriel, go ahead.
Okay, yes, sir. Good morning. So we're going to take a roll call. We have Chair Ortis,
Here,
Vice Chair Good, not
it's on our
present,
way.
Deputy Vice Chair Johnson, Broward County Representative Commissioner Furr,
He's asked for an excusal.
Small Municipalities Representative Ziotti, At-Large Representative Colburn, not present, and At-Large Representative Stoner. 4 members are present. We have a quorum.
Thank you. We'll call a meeting to order. Can we have the Pledge of Allegiance led by my Deputy Vice Chair?
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. That's all right. Well, welcome back. After a little hiatus. Mr. Gabriel, you want to start us off?
Yes, sir. We have the call to order, the approval of minutes, July 1st. We need a motion.
Okay, can I get a motion? Oh, I'm not on.
Make sure your mics are on, please. The
And you can also,
bottom right button.
in the motion, you can use the.
So moved.
Moved by Mayor Stoner. Is there a second? Second by Deputy Vice Chair. Any discussion on the motion? Can we do it verbally?
Please use your voting button. This is practice for later. It's the yes and no.
Oh.
Top left is yes,
It's
middle.
where the
top-
mic, it hooks into the mic, Mayor.
What's that?
It's not set up for it. Oh, okay.
I see yes, 19. No, 0.
Okay. So the motion is unanimous, so we can go on to the next item, which
It's
is,
my screen.
she's coming over.
No.
So we need a motion and a second for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
So we have a motion and a second.
Make sure for the record, who made the motion?
Wait, hold on a second. We're not using this now?
We can, if you can get it, if it's not working.
Just for the board meeting. Okay.
Mayor
okay.
Ziotti made the motion.
All right, Mayor Beata made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Deputy Vice Chair Johnson, discussion. Hearing none, call the roll, please. Or all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I do have it.
Approved. Thank you. Then we go to public comments. Mayor?
None.
Anyone present for public comments? Seeing none, seeing no one. Thank you. Next item are consent items. There are 4 items on your consent. If you want, I could read each one for the record. Motion to approve an agreement between Broward Metropolitan Planning Organization and Swaggett Productions LLC for video streaming services in amount not to exceed $118,200. Motion to approve an agreement between Broward MPO and Destiny Software for agenda and minutes management software in amount not to exceed $33,200. Motion to approve a third amendment to agreement between Broward MPO and Duramatech LLC for website hosting support maintenance. And finally, motion to approve GPC task work order number 21 between Broward MPO and Kimberly Horn and Associates for amount not to exceed $165,000.
All right, are any polls on the consent agenda? I'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Moved by Mayor Stoner. Is there a second?
It was actually Mayor.
Mayor Ziotti seconded. Mayor Stoner second. Mayor Ziotti made the motion. Mayor Stoner second. Okay. Discussion on the consent. Okay, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay, consent is approved. Mr. Gabriel.
Thank you. And for the record, we have Representative Colburn is present.
Didn't see her walk in.
Is
Hi, Commissioner. How are you?
Ms.
Okay,
Colburn, did you vote on that item? You can vote on that. Was that a yes for the consent items? Thank you.
Perfect. Unanimous.
Just wanted to make sure we have it all being managed. Then next item we have is for action item. We have time still, right?
Yes.
This is an important one. This is a motion to recommend to the MPO board approval of the amendment to the rules of the Metropolitan Planning Organization. This is the rule amendment that would allow you to have communication technology, use of communication technology. This will allow the board members to ultimately be able to sign in and participate and vote in meetings from virtually anywhere. The important part to this is that when it comes to the board, it will require 2/3 vote of the majority of those who are present. One of the things that's important to this is that in your actual rules that we're amending, it says that the board members may attend and participate in any of the meetings, whether they be regular, special, or workshop meetings through the use of these communication technology. An absentee board member, I'm going to read this because it's important for you to follow through. An absentee board member may request the chair, or in the chair's absence, the vice chair, permission to participate in regular or special meetings via communication technology, only as long as a quorum of the board members are physically present at the meeting, which is what we have today as well. Board members appearing may utilize the technology pursuant to this section and recognized by the executive director or designee, and be able to clearly announce and record each of his or her votes either orally or by use of the available technology. What's important is that it's limited to no more than 10 members may be able to participate through this kind of technology use. That's to avoid having everyone trying to avoid coming to a meeting. And also importantly, it's first come, first serve as to those who request it. The concept is that anyone who requests it will do so before a meeting. It can't happen the day of a meeting. The actual time, whether it be 24 hours or whatever it might be, is subject to our ability to control the issues as it may come up. That's what the rule will provide. Any questions?
Any questions?
Yes,
Yes, Commissioner Cobra.
yeah. How is this going to limit individuals from just not coming to meetings? Can they just continue to call in every time and say, I'm gonna be virtual?
No, that becomes part of the issue. The idea is that there has, by law, there needs to be a quorum in the room. First, we recognize that. But by Attorney General determination, there should be an explanation as to why they're unavailable to attend a meeting. It should not just be because it's not convenient to not attend. That's the reason that they have to ask and request not approval per se, but advise the chair or vice chair, depending on who's managing the meeting, the approval for that meeting.
So they're considered absent?
No, they will,
can approve
when you
absent
get
virtually?
permission, when you have that authority to do it virtually, you can participate at the meeting and you can vote through that process as well. And we will count that vote. The impact might be if the small municipalities may lose some of their opportunities if all the county commissioners show virtually. That could be problematic to the small municipalities.
We have that issue on our advisory boards. People have decided they're going to just join virtual. Some people have yet to come in personally and participate. So for us, it's become, how many times do you let them do it? Because there is something to be said for in-person exchanges and stuff, and what you see on the screen is not the same. So that's my only comment, is how long do you let them go?
So the rule actually specifies that each board member is expected to demonstrate interest in the MPO's activities through attendance at a regular scheduled meetings, except for reasons of unavoidable nature. That's what the chair or vice chair would determine what would be unavoidable, whatever the circumstances, facts may be. There is no limit to how many times a member can ask for that ability to participate through virtual means. But this is the reason that it's coming before you. I mean, you have no obligation to approve it the way it presently is. You can manage this and try and come up with other ideas, and we can table it from the regular meeting if you wish to do that. But it allows us to go forward in this regard.
In the section,
Cobra?
yeah, thank you. In the section that you just read,
Yes, ma'am.
it doesn't specifically say in person, does it?
In what regard are you?
It says to attend.
Is expected to demonstrate interest in the MPO's activities through attendance at the regularly scheduled meetings, except for reasons of unavoidable nature.
Can we put in person in there?
Attendance in person?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, that's, if the members would prefer that,
Okay, no objection.
attendance in person, okay?
Mr. Coburn is done.
Yes, thank you.
Deputy Chair Johnson.
So is this just through COVID that we're gonna do this? Or
No, ma'am, this is a rule change. This is for, unless you change the rules back or some other way, this is forever. I'll just say it that way.
If someone is just never coming, does the chair have the right to say, you need to get another representative or something, where it's somebody that just totally always attends?
Well, there's no penalty per se, but we have had that problem where people or members don't actually show. And it's the body that appoints them that is responsible for determining or, making sure that their representative is present or not.
Further questions?
Is there a limit to excused absences
We're all going around.
Well, that's.
Currently.
That's the discussion.
currently? Just aside from this?
No, there's no.
Actually, I'm just for a point of clarification, there is no, but basically we record the excused absence if the person is repeating it multiple times. Typically, what we would do is one, reach out to the elected official that's missing all the meetings and say, are you sure you want to serve? But for them to be removed from serving, their majority of their commission would have to then take an action to remove them and place a new member.
Right, further discussion?
Well, in all fairness, county commissioners have an alternate, don't they?
Yes.
Alternate.
No.
No,
No.
the city the next representative.
Well, I'm not sure if the question is an alternate for their, as a member to the
Yes.
board.
Oh, no.
They do
No.
not.
Okay.
They are the identified voting person for that seat, that commission seat.
Okay.
And then if they're not in attendance for that commission seat, then it moves to, one of the cities.
Then it becomes available. Yeah, remember, we only have a maximum of 25 voting members who can vote officially at any time.
Right, you understand? Good.
Chair?
Right. Any objection to item 1?
There's a question?
Question?
I just wanted to fully disclose that I know for a fact that, I do the quorum calls to all the membership, but I want to disclose that I know for a fact there are several members that will only participate virtually moving forward.
But it's on a first come, first served basis. And it's only 10 slots.
Correct.
So how many people do you know?
I know 2 for sure.
All right, I'm rethinking my
So if I
views on
can,
this.
yeah, if I can just
mean,
add this too, is that whatever you vote and whenever it gets approved or doesn't get approved, you can reconsider again and change it. If you vote for this today and decide not to do it, or there's a problem with it, we can change it again. But, or you can give some other direction and we can figure out some other conditions or language and bring it back at another time. It's really at your discretion at this
One
point.
moment, say, if I have not been attending the Florida League of Cities meetings because it's COVID, it's a personal decision of mine. I'm going up next week, we'll start again. But I could understand somebody wanting to participate with the Zoom during COVID.
Right.
After that, it seems like you have an obligation, in my opinion. Your commission appointed you, you have an obligation to be here in person. Now, if you're going to just be virtual, that's not seating at the table.
One of the 2 board members that Brian was referring to, Mr. Collector was referring to, is actually concerned because of the COVID issue. That said, once this is over with, my recommendation to you all, and we'll seek that, is that then we modify this particular.
That's what Deputy Chair Johnson had mentioned.
Perfect.
But to my thinking, even after COVID's over, if people are not going to come to the meeting, and those of us from the
Small cities,
we're here
right.
all the time, and we're on the board, we do all we do, we shouldn't be excluded from voting for people like
Right.
the county commissioners that don't show up quite often, or anyone. I mean, I'm not tossing out any names, but it just, I don't know, in my heart, I feel like we could continue doing the Zoom, but the voting, I have a problem with that.
Yeah,
Especially after COVID's over, but even now, still.
I mean, we have, even prior to COVID, it was an issue. Prior to COVID, it was an issue of, whether or not small cities were able to vote.
I think putting a limit, Mr.
Commissioner
Chair.
Cobra?
Thank you. I think putting a limit to the amount of time that it can be taken, it makes it fair for everyone because you do have to have a quorum. So it's everyone's responsibility to try to make it that we have that quorum. It shouldn't be that someone is allowed to just not come to the meetings and other people have to be obligated to make sure that there's a quorum so that they can be a meeting. So I think the only fair way that I can see is to have some sort of a limit, whether it's 5 times that a maximum of 5 times. I'm throwing 5 out there as a number, but I don't want to
50%.
throw out a number that's so large that, everybody will take advantage of it and then you don't have a quorum. So somebody else could do the math.
If I can just kind of add to that, then are you thinking in a calendar year? Are you talking about in any period of time? We only have so many meetings a year anyways.
We have 10 official meetings that you're
Or
asked
maybe
to vote.
3 would be a better number so that you make sure you have a quorum. I'm not sure, twice or 3 times.
This is at your discretion,
discretion,
actually.
yeah.
And frankly, I also want to just for the record, identify that Vice Chair Good is present.
Traffic was terrible.
So didn't mean to interrupt the conversation, but I wanted to make sure that she gets acknowledged as being present.
Maybe 2 or 3 times. I'm
So-
throwing it out for discussion
Yes.
would probably be a better number.
Yeah, I agree with
Do we have an agreement on that number?
3.
3.
3?
3 it is.
3 it is. You want to speak on it?
This will be going to the full board at the
Deputy
next.
Vice Chair Good has finally arrived. She'd like to speak.
No, there was bad accident. Just real quick, I'm sorry I missed the discussion and I'm certainly amenable to the 3. I thought there was discussion too about it being somewhat of an excused absence, just not cause. So we're going away from that discussion and just making it a blanket. You get 3 passes. Is that what we're doing?
No, actually, there's still they still have to advise the chair and vice chair as to the reasons that they're unavailable to attend. And it's unavoidable. It has to be a reason for unavoidable nature. It would be up to the chair or vice chair to determine what that reason is and whether that qualifies. The discussion then became, it shouldn't be open-ended. It shouldn't be forever. And so we went to the idea that it should be limited in some nature. And right now the discussion is no more than 3 times in a calendar year is how I was contemplating it. But I will just, for someone who has COVID or a COVID issue, they would always have that problem. And I just throw that out to you. So I don't know that you want to distinguish that or not, because it still has the problem and we still have a large membership and there'll always be issues. So.
My only concern is that it's not, I'm sorry, thank you. It's not only, my concern is not during COVID. We're putting a policy that's going to go beyond COVID. If you want to put something, something for COVID, during this time of COVID, I can understand that. But this policy is a living document that will continue. So I don't want to leave it a blank open like that. Something for COVID could be a separate resolution or something, just saying that during the COVID period, if that situation comes up, we could put something in place specifically for COVID. I'm not trying to hurt any of my colleagues on this board. I'm just trying to make sure as we go forward that it is fair and that we do get a quorum so that we can conduct business.
Vice Chair Good.
So just to the point that council made, the chair's okay with leaving it up to you to determine what's an acceptable, as you're taking the photograph. Leaving it up to you to determine what's an acceptable
Well,
excuse?
I think the number 3 is a good number.
No, but I'm not speaking about the number. I'm speaking about, they're leaving it up to the chair to determine what is an acceptable valid excuse. You're okay with that? I'm just.
Yeah, sure. I'm okay with that.
Okay, and then typically, how many meetings do we have a year?
10.
10.
Right?
Thank you.
Further discussion? I hearing none, we'll show it as unanimous
As amended.
as amended.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you. So that, I will present that to the full board today as we go into the meeting, when we go to the meeting. So that takes care of all our action items. Is it 9 yet?
No, it is not 9 a.m. However, I
Discussion.
have a request by the Florida Department of Transportation if Mr. Schwab could quickly, and I do mean quickly, present some information on the FEC Coastal Link project, if that's okay,
Okay, let's
Mr.
do it.
Chair. Perfect. Rebecca, can you let Phil in?
Okay, can you guys hear me okay?
Good morning, Phil. Yes.
Good morning. Good morning. I appreciate the time. Just want to let the executive board know we held some public kickoff meetings for the Broward Commuter Rail project. Very well attended. We had 2 virtual meetings that held over 300 people. Actually, the 2 virtual plus an in-person, we had over 300 participants. We also had an agency kickoff meeting that had 56 participants. In all, we had over 100 questions asked and answered. We also announced the technical recommendations for station locations on the corridor. And our goal right now is to continue with our analysis and coordination with stakeholders, really focused on the New River crossing, which is a big topic. We hope to have some charrettes in the fall. We also are looking to have an alternatives meeting by the end of the year, where we'd be then looking to go to a locally preferred alternative and have the county commission vote early next year, which will ultimately be followed up by the MPO board at some point regarding endorsement of that LPA and continue our work on supporting the county for the development of funding strategies and expectations. So I just wanted to make sure the executive board understood where we were at in the process, and also we are trying to accelerate to some degree to help get in line and be able to compete for federal funds. And really like to hear any type of input or feedback on the stakeholder outreach and when we should go to the larger board with any type of update.
For the executive committee, basically, we've told Mr. Schwab that he'll be on the next cycle for TAC, CAC, and then ultimately to the board. So that is October.
Do we have to wait before we do the conference call, or can we start the meeting?
We can actually go right into the conference call, probably.
We have to
now.
start the regular meeting?
No, we do not. We can keep this meeting going and then you enter into the conference call at 9 a.m.
Vice Chair Good had a question, and we'll let her have it, but let her ask it because she was. Vice Chair Good?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just real quick on the consent item for number 1, to approve the agreement to allow for video streaming services.
Mhm.
I wanted to ask, does that service also provide for closed caption? And I know many government entities are required to do that.
Yeah, we were supposed to talk before.
I know.
Mr.
Sorry.
Gies, can you respond to that question or do you need it repeated? What the question is does Swaggett provide transcription services for the hearing impaired?
Thank you, Vice Chair Good. Peter Gies with the Broward MPO. So yes, it does provide transcription services. The transcription services are not live, however. They are done after the fact. So they're in full compliance. We work with the vendor with Swaggett to make sure that all of the proper transcription is done correctly.
And does that meet the requirements for handicap?
ADA.
ADA.
Yes, the ADA requirements. Yes, we specifically asked the vendor for that.
Okay,
Yes.
perfect.
Thank you.
All right, do we have to wait till 9 or can we go to the call?
I think we can go ahead and bring in the call.
Let's do it.
Rebecca? Are they on? You want to bring them in? Lori, Lisa, are you there?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. You get to start early.
That's right. Rebecca, could you make my colleague Lisa Barkovic also a presenter? I'll go ahead and get started, and then Lisa is going to follow up. Today, we're going to talk about what's going on in DC on a bipartisan infrastructure bill, budget reconciliation, and then appropriations. As you know, the Senate was able to pass a bipartisan infrastructure deal a few weeks ago. The House has not yet passed it, but the Speaker has said that she is going to consider it by September 27th. There's a lot of great things for the Broward MPO in that bill that we've previously stated, but just to reiterate, a lot more money for SDBG, TAP money, increased sub-allocation to MPOs, and also our pilot program, which directs funding straight to you from SDBG account. Right now, Congress has considered the reconciliation bill, and this is what the president has called his human infrastructure bill. This bill includes money for housing, child tax credits, higher education, and resiliency. Right now, the congressional committees, both in the House and Senate, are drafting, and there will be additional funding for transportation. There's a hope that there'll be more money for transit, but there'll also be more money for electrification and resiliency programs. They're supposed to finish everything up by September 15th, but the committees are still drafting, so unclear if they're going to finish drafting the bill by the 15th. But regardless, Congress will be considering this for the most of the fall, so probably all of September and all of October. And as soon as we see more details on the transportation provisions, we'll share it with the intergovernmental teams. Lisa?
Yeah. So as Congress is working on a reconciliation bill and the House is teeing up to vote on the infrastructure bill before the FAST Act expires, the other looming deadline that they are facing, they actually have quite a few deadlines at the end of September. One, you know, the federal fiscal year ends September 30th and a new one begins October 1st. So there's not many legislative days between today, September 9th, and the 30th for Congress to complete work on all 12 of the appropriation bills and get them to the president. So it is, without a doubt, they will need to pass a continuing resolution to keep the federal government up and running. We also know that the other thing that Congress is facing is they need to raise the debt ceiling. Now, this is where I don't want to get too far into the weeds or details, but a lot of folks are looking for that debt ceiling increase to ride along with a continuing resolution. And so there's a little bit of a stalemate between Democrats and Republicans on how to get that done. Now, the White House this week did say that they would also like to see added to that continuing resolution $14 billion in federal disaster aid. So with Hurricane Ida wreaking havoc from Louisiana up into New England, as well as ongoing wildfires out in the West, there is definitely a need to see federal disaster aid across the board in the various different departments and agencies. The White House is also asking for an additional $6.2 billion for the Pentagon and Department of State as it relates to helping resettlement of Afghan refugees and the different NGOs that are part of helping that. So there's a little bit of having to kind of work this out. We don't know how long that continuing resolution will be for. You know, if I look towards the past, usually they're about a 2-month CR that takes us into November, either right before Thanksgiving or after Thanksgiving. So stay tuned on that. But otherwise, the appropriation bills look good as they are. The Senate started to mark up 3 of the 12 before they adjourned in August. So when we expect them to come back September 13th, they will continue to do that. So that is where we are on that appropriations front. Do you guys have any questions for us on anything that we might have mentioned?
Members, questions? Nope, don't hear any questions.
Perfect. Hey, I know you guys are going to be busy up in DC. This month is going to be fun. Sorry, we're not coming up and meeting with you all in person, but we'll continue on. We're working on that.
Yeah, you'll see that all of the different department heads, they're actually reverting back to virtual meetings now. So like there was a Virginia Transit Association meeting and the FTA administrator is now making her appearance virtual. So that is just what we're having to deal with. And we'll keep you in touch.
Yep. Brave new world again. Keep on
Yep.
going. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We good?
All right, let me ask a question.
Oh, there's a question. Okay.
I have a commissioner on our commission that just
Couple.
thinks we don't do anything. Could you quickly explain the MPO process? And I see that there's a lot of money available now from the federal government. Could you explain quickly the process? As an example, if we had roads to be done over or extended or fixed, could you tell me the time and just roughly the process for that?
Well, knowing that particular commissioner who also sat on this board, the reality of that question is there's a whole process set up by the federal government to receive the money that we do get appropriated from the federal government. Our budget is about $1 billion a year. The Transportation Improvement Program is $5.1 billion that you vote on. So I would say that nothing is a little bit of a understatement for what he's actually trying to say, I guess. That said, the processes themselves, we have our core projects that we actually put through the Metropolitan Transportation Plan that then feeds into a 5-year capital program, which ultimately becomes a deliverable project through the work program of the Florida Department of Transportation. So the MPO itself is the conduit to federal funds. If the MPO did not exist, there would be no access to federal funds. That actually did occur to Broward County back in 1976, where President Carter actually stopped providing federal funds for transportation to Broward County and its municipalities at that time because they refused to form an MPO, which is a requirement by law. So, there's a lot of things that, that particular commissioner on your board may say a lot of very fascinating things, but federal law is pretty clear. The reauthorization bill is there as well as the circulars, and we can provide all that information to you, Mr. Mayor, to share with your membership.
Sounds like the explanation I gave.
Well, you've been here for a while.
All right, let's start our regular meeting. Mr. Gabriel?
Actually, we have a break.
You have a break. You have to wait unless there's any other items that might come up by the executive committee members as to discussion.
What time is our break?
We have till 9. We don't start our regular meeting till 9:30.
9:30.
Yeah, 9:30.
My bad. My bad.
Too much coffee.
Not enough.
So
I'm
we
gonna get a little more.
if you're done, we can, if there's a
we're
motion to
Adjourn till
adjourn,
9:30?
we could adjourn.
And we're in recess.
If there's a motion.
Move.
All right, 9:06. Thank you.
Unanimous.
You know what would be great right now is bagels.
Yeah.
I forgot them. I had breakfast this morning there too. No excuse. I forgot them.